I'm going to try to go without a microphone because I don't want to get distracted with it. It didn't turn out to be a parable so much as a kind of a story, so we'll go with that, but I kept the title the same. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that Derek covered and maybe some other things as we proceed through here. I have the whiteboard up, moved it closer so that we can use it if we need to. Thankfully, I brought my own markers because there aren't any there. Be prepared, right? Let's get the preliminaries out of the way. This is the first preliminary. It seems like you always have to have a credibility slide. Okay, these are hard to write. So I just copied one that I had for all kinds of other uses. And you'll notice I'm being vulnerable here because I should have shaved before that shot. So that's kind of my experience. Okay, I've spent most of my career as a software engineer, a developer. A lot of that actually had to do with writing tests, the test software, test harnesses, and things like that, both for engineering use and for production. The vast majority of that time, except for 5 years-ish, was spent doing embedded stuff, embedded firmware, making hardware products that had software inside them. It's an interesting challenge that actually has parallels with many other things that we do. I wanted to ask you all, and Derek already did this last session, so maybe I don't need to ask, but how many of you are testers? Most people. Developers? 2, half?
Sort of.
1.5? Sort of. Okay. What else? Business analysts, product owners, whatever, that kind of thing. Managers. Okay. Good. So, just wanted to know a little bit about you. Maybe know a little bit about me. Okay, so we're going to go on a little journey here for a little while. And I want you to put on your metaphor hats. In other words, humans love metaphors. We love metaphors, parables, whatever you want to call them. And that's what I'm going to start with here. We'll get into the meat of things as we go along. We'll have to see how well I understand and remember the story that I wrote. Okay? The ship was coming into Boston Harbor late. 42 days late. The captain was not happy. To top it off, when they were trying to run to make up time, they actually broke the top of one of their masts. It's not like the other captains aren't going to see that. They'll see that. They'll know that something went wrong. And that sail is flapping in the breeze and the splinter of the mast up there. The captain thought, well, I should be grateful because that's all they can see. They can't see the rest. They can't see the cargo, that some of it has been lost and the value lost. And they can't see the status of the crew as we come into harbor finally delivering this cargo and hoping to get some value. At least only the sail on the mast is visible to everybody else. However, we're late and we're broken. The ship had some damage and other damage that isn't visible. The voyage started out great. We had this wonderful crew. We had the usual speeches, the talk about how much money we're going to make. Everybody seemed really happy, especially because they all got uniforms. Okay? Uniforms are great because it makes us feel all together part of a team. Of course, it's a pretty big team. There was a lot of people. He thought that was okay because that's what he did on previous voyages, but as they proceeded on the voyage, he found problems with having such a big crew. Throughout the voyage, everybody seemed pretty happy. None of his officers, none of the officers of the ship ever reported any problems with the crew. And every time the captain came to look at them, everybody was smiles. This went for a long time. Everything was great. Until they were about 80% there. And suddenly there were problems everywhere. How could that be when everybody was so happy whenever the officers were around? seemed to work as a team. It was only when the disaster struck and the arguments became visible that he realized that the seamen weren't getting along with the helmsman. The helmsman didn't really like the bowman. And everybody seemed to be not getting along with each other. When problems happened, the arguments that erupted were always, it's the helmsman's fault. No, it's the seaman's fault. These were arguments he later found out were happening when the officers weren't around. When the disaster struck and they had to take down the sails, in order to just get started again, they had to go through this huge re-rigging of the sails, changing out a bunch of ropes, repairing sails, all these things we lost. They lost so much time. And then, of course, they had high pressure to try and make up the time. That's when the mast broke, when they had that storm. But now we're in port. Finally, we're in port. 42 days late, damaged. But hey, the problem's not mine anymore. We can ship. We can send it off to our customers. I can hand it off to the dock people, the dock workers, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. If we study this voyage, I'm sure I could do better. Maybe we can pick different crew, right? Put together a different crew, because that'll be better. And the captain caught himself in that lie, because he knew that's what he thought at the beginning of this voyage, that a different crew would be better. Why is it that we can't seem to change things? Why is it that every voyage lately has seemed to be so difficult, so hard? As he's about to close out the ship's log, the owner of the shipping company arrived with several other captains. And he thought, oh, here it comes. I'm going to hear about how I was late. I'm going to hear about how we lost some of those perishable goods, how the value missed the market. But he was surprised to find that the owner said, no, these things have been happening a lot lately. We're going to change. Things are going to be different. We're going to change things to a different way of working. You and the other captains are going to do things in a different way. What we're going to do, instead of having big giant ships, you, captain, will be in charge of a group of smaller ships. Each of these ships will have a different crew, a smaller crew in each one. Our goal is that we can be more nimble. We can deliver things faster and closer. We won't need a large port. If we have difficulty with one particular ship, we have more ships running that can cover our risk. We will have small crews that can adjust to what's happening around them. Now, stepping out of storytelling mode. Does any of that sound familiar to anybody?
Only a little.
Only a little. Okay. We can think about our own work, how we do work, what we're doing, the problems we have, and how we look here to Agile, right? As somehow going to solve those things. This discussion is about the tester and the coder, but it's mostly about the whole team as a whole and how the structures work. And I'd like us to have a discussion here about how we can change the outcomes of the way we've experienced work so far. How can we create shared goals with our teams so that every crew knows where they're going and every crew knows what needs to be accomplished? Okay, so in my outline of this talk, I was extremely vague. I am amazed and surprised and gratified that there's this many people in here, because I thought, oh man, it was too vague, but I guess you guys like vague. So we have a little bit of structure to how to talk about this, and we'll do some talking. And we'll address those things in my little brief description. The first one of those is why. why should we have agile teams? Anybody have any thoughts on this?
I have a thought and I guess a question.
Yes.
Because I've not been on an Agile team before and I only recently started reading Agile books.
Okay.
And in those books, XP always goes along with Agile and they sort of design the test before they build the code, and it seems like the developers and the testers are really the same person.
Okay.
So in this context of this discussion we're about to have, are developers and testers the same person?
Are developers and testers? I had a recent discussion online about that. What do you all think? Are developers and testers the same person?
Could be.
Should they can.
Should be,
I
they
think
can't
are
have
they or
theirs.
should be?
Yeah.
I would argue that they could be, but they probably shouldn't be the same person, but a developer should test some other developer's code.
Yeah, they should not.
There should be a conflict of interest. You cannot be the tester on your own developed code.
Okay.
Well, if you've got tester and developer, you're sitting down writing tests, I guess another developer could do that. But then the developer's gonna write code until he's testing it, so in a sense, he's filling both roles.
Unless he's
When I had one more thing, when I had a development team of coders, they tested their own code because it's their level of excellence that they wouldn't let their code go out and that was something they don't. So.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a very good question. I'm going to stop the discussion right here for a moment, since that is a, I don't know, nuts and bolts kind of a question, which we'll get to. There's the how. Okay, if you read my little outline, there's the how. And we'll touch on that in a minute. Okay. I'm looking for the why now. Why should we do Agile? Why should we have Agile teams? Why do we have Agile testers instead of just testers? What are we trying to do?
In theory, you get smaller increments of code out to customers faster, therefore the customer is happy.
Okay?
Flexibility for change. If something changes, we're flexible enough to address it.
Okay. Yes?
Smaller things are easier to manage.
Smaller things are easier to manage. Okay.
Reduces risk.
Yes.
Supposedly better performance.
Supposedly, why do you say supposedly?
Well, because sometimes depending on how the agile's laid out, it doesn't work as expected or planned.
Okay.
People thought waterfall wasn't working.
People thought waterfall wasn't working. I heard a noise over here.
I was gonna say the adaptability.
Yeah. Yes?
Maybe you use the smaller ships because if one or two smaller ships is late, then it won't be as big an impact if one big ship is late with the whole ship.
Okay. All right, let me put up some of the things that I thought of ahead of time. Okay. We do testing, we have smaller ships, smaller teams, because we want higher quality. We want quality that comes from the beginning, not trying to test it into the end. The title of this conference is QA Southwest, Quality Assurance. Okay. So many times that means something at the end. Agile says it's not, it's something at the end. It's something you do all along. Speed. What do I mean by speed? What do you think I mean by speed? Does that mean that I code faster?
No, instead of developing this giant product from A, B, C, D, E, you can release C, or you can release A. Individual components you can put out to production, so you're faster, you're delivering something to the customer every iteration at a faster rate.
So you mean speedy.
Speed and delivery, maybe? Deliver sooner? That's one way you
Deliver the
think of speed.
requirement when, it's closer to when the customers express the requirement.
And plus you can change to enforce if you have to faster.
Yes?
We also reduce the time that it takes to fix errors and stuff like that, because you're not testing on a massive piece of code, you're testing one small feature and you caught the bug right as it happened. So you don't have to wait to come back over.
Instead of testing something a month or 3 months after you wrote it, you're testing it 2 days after you wrote it, or maybe the same day. stability. How would Agile bring stability to your product? Yeah.
Statistically speaking, if you're writing less code and testing less code, then there's less of a chance for more issues and bugs to come up.
Plus you're testing earlier and often.
Okay. Well,
Your quality is higher,
your quality is high.
so therefore you're more stable. If you integrate more earlier with the other parts of the product, then yeah, there's more opportunities for those parts to work together and find problems.
If you're working in smaller development cycles, as opposed to longer term development cycles, there's less likelihood of people jumping ship.
Jumping ship.
Pun intended.
Okay. Safety. What do I mean by safety? We're doing Agile stuff. We're doing it in an Agile way. How is that safe?
There's more visibility in the whole process. So you're not going to get a rude awakening 6 months, 9 months down the line that this is all, you should be getting it every iteration, every short block of time. You should see what's going on.
Okay. So visibility brings safety.
Yes.
You can also change course a little bit quicker if you have to.
Right.
So if the prevailing winds change, you can adapt in a smaller ship.
That's right.
Yeah, kind of what she said, because you work in smaller chunks, you know if something breaks, you have a pretty good idea on when you broke it and what you need to roll back or fix.
Right. Okay.
It's not as painful to roll back today.
We're mitigating risk, right? Our risk is much smaller in each. Yes.
I was going to mention personal safety because what I noticed when we took on Agile is I wasn't working 60-hour weeks anymore, so I wasn't so tired, so maybe I was used to risk.
The commute is
Where
much
do you-
safer.
Yeah.
God, I think I'm working more hours now.
That's interesting.
Well, you can see when you have it in the Agile, you have the scrum meetings on a regular basis, everybody knows what everybody's status is. So safely, you know whether or not you're going to meet your objectives and your deadlines. We're not running into the danger of last minute.
All right, time to use one of your index cards. We can go through 6 segments in this discussion. The first segment is why. So I'd like you to leave enough space on that card to make notes for our 6 different segments. Divide it up however you want, maybe in thirds, on one side and 3 side, 3 on the other side.
Do we have more index cards?
We do. They got cheaper as they get thinner as they get cheaper. I asked everybody to have 2 index cards. I'm using one of them now. Okay, so on your card in one of your 1/6 sections or 1/3 of one side, write in why for that section, and I want you to write down for you personally 1 or 2 answers to why you're doing Agile, why you do Agile testing. For you, what is that answer? We talked about a bunch of them. Write at least 1. Time flies when you're talking. I will be looking at my watch from time to time, but it's not so I keep track of the time, right? Time box. Okay. Looks like most people are stopped. Keep writing if you're writing. Fine. We need to talk about the need. Yeah, why? But need is not the same as why. They kind of overlap, maybe. But there are certain needs that we need to. There are certain needs that we need to fulfill while we're being agile, and while we're being an agile tester, working with our agile coders. What needs do we have to fulfill as an agile tester?
Validate that the code conforms to the requirements.
Validate the code conforms to the requirements. Okay. Validation.
Yeah.
What other needs do we fulfill?
Visibility on what's wrong and what's right with the program, or whatever we're working on.
Visibility on what's wrong or right. It's important. Yes.
Ensuring that the acceptance criteria is well defined.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, do I do that? As a tester, when do I do that? When do I verify the acceptance criteria is correct?
We did it during our pointing sessions. If it wasn't well defined, then we would point it. I often would work a sprint ahead with the product owner and make sure that I understood what, I think just because I was a little better at writing requirements than they were. Because they were more functional, they were SMEs, not business analysts. So I would work with them to actually write out the acceptance criteria. So I fit that into my schedule.
So you have it. So you as a tester were writing acceptance criteria for features or stories or whatever it is coming up.
In conjunction with the product owner, yeah.
How many of you do that?
Developers don't, well, I've met a few developers who don't like edge cases, or they don't want to code them. They just want to take the golden path, and they think, that's fine.
A happy path makes you happy.
Happy. And I think QA has to be in there to ask questions. Things that happen. Because those great phone numbers cost money.
There is, I mean, we touched on a little bit, who is the tester, who's the coder, and are they one person? Right? But I would say if they're one person, you do have a coder mind and a tester mind. It's different.
But you can also
Ways of
have
thinking.
where a unit test passes, but the product doesn't do what it's supposed to. So, you know, the developer could think that this is the way it's supposed to go, and as a QA person, I'm saying, no, this is the way it's supposed to go. So it's also a check to make sure that the developers are, that everyone's on the same path.
Everyone on the same path, that's good.
Yeah.
Any other options or thoughts about what needs are we trying to fulfill as agile testers?
We're also the voice of the customer,
Tester is the voice of the customer.
or the customer advocate.
Yeah, I see it that way as well.
Okay? That's interesting.
Well, the tester bridges the gap between what the customer wants and what we're actually delivering.
Okay? Yes?
So the question is, what do we need as agile testers? Right?
This is what are you trying to,
What need are you
what
fulfilling?
need are you fulfilling?
So I think a need that testing fulfills is it gives confidence to make changes.
So like if the test passed, then it's okay to make a change?
If I've got a really strong test suite, I'm a lot more confident to make a change because I know I've got a backstop that will let me know if my change broke something.
Right.
If I don't have that, I'm a lot more nervous to just go in and make a change.
I've worked on that project before. Brittle code. Ooh, things that I thought of.
Like what?
You're gonna delight the customer, isn't it? You said the customer? We wanna delight that customer. We don't wanna just meet what they wanna do. In today's marketplace, we need to delight the customer. Because somebody's gonna come along and eat our lunch. We don't. They're gonna take our profit. They're gonna take our customer. I'm anxiously and interestingly watching Facebook, because it looks like they're on their way out. I don't know what's gonna take its place. But they don't seem to be delighting their customers much anymore.
Not since they took on ads.
Okay, so there's some interesting things going on there, right? You lose sight of delighting your customer, you're gonna lose them. Now, okay, we can argue about who's Facebook's customer, the users or the ad buyers, but, you know, you have to play a balance.
No question about that.
Recently, Facebook started promoted posts, so that means that their users can also be their customers.
Yes. Okay. Coherence. In my opinion, in my experience, someone with a testing mind can help provide a lot of coherence to the product. Make it look smooth, feel right throughout. Most people say, well, that's the UI person's problem, right? That's the user experience guru. That we only have one in a company of 50, and that's a big problem because we can't find good UX people. Well, the testers contribute to that huge, huge. That's something that testers can catch. You know, have you ever used one part of a program, you go to the next part, and the way it lists things is completely different than the other part? Come on, testers, find those things. Value. You, the testers, are confirming that the product will have value. Or you should be.
Elaborate on that.
If you're trying to delight your customer. You're trying to prove that this product will work the way you expect and the way that the customers want it to work. That it will perform what it needs to perform. Did the calculations work right? Does this report print correctly? Whatever it is you're testing. If those things are wrong, you're decreasing the value of the product. I don't remember if I have a fourth. Let's find out. Oh, I did. Flow. Testers can block flow or make it happen. You're in that key spot that you can make things move or make things stop. You're also in the key spot that you can help the organization create more flow. You can solve those things. Okay. On your second third of your first half of the card, put flow.
Flow or need?
I'm sorry, need. No, isn't that awesome? I get to be tested up here. This is good. Okay. Put need, and what are the needs that you, in your organization, are attempting to fulfill as a tester, or someone who does testing, whether you're a tester or not. Don't be distracted. My clicker's complaining the batteries are dying. Okay. You got it? Your pen's still running? Okay. Skills. I'm concrete here. Let's get into the real meat of it. You're an Agile tester or someone doing Agile testing on an Agile team. What are your skills? And there are hard skills and there are what?
Soft skills.
I'm talking about all of them. There are hard skills and there are soft skills. What are your skills that you need?
Abstract mind,
Is that
an abstract mind to come up with test cases and how break things in the first place,
an abstract mind to come up with test cases
and to break things.
and to break things?
The joy of breaking things.
Yeah. The joy of breaking things. Do all testers want to be on MythBusters? Is that a truism?
My heart started beating faster when you said
Yeah. Okay. All right. Abstract mind. What else?
Negotiation.
Negotiation. Tell me about that.
Sometimes you have to negotiate how much can be done in a sprint. If the criticalness of the defect, is it something that really has to be fixed now, or can it be fixed next sprint, or can it be deferred indefinitely? And you have to be able to understand its impact. So that kind of goes to the needing analytical skills as well. Just need negotiation skills to get through life.
That's true. Okay. Negotiation. What else?
Technical knowledge of the product, so that if you do find a defect, if you do a little bit of digging and find out what could possibly be causing it or ways of addressing the defect, that you approach the developer with that, and then that way it's not such a big struggle. The developer is not breaking away from what they're doing. I mean, when they have ideas on how to address that defect, then they're more likely to fix it and not argue with you about it.
So a tester needs technical. So are you saying the tester needs to know how to read code?
Well, it helps to have enough technical knowledge, whether it's the code or not so much the code itself, but say you have a product that interacts over the web and it uses a database. Well, when you know that something could be wrong with how something is getting inserted into the database, if you have that technical knowledge, then you can approach the developer and say, well, it looks like this is happening, and then that way you've done some of the groundwork, so the developer is more likely to fix it and not even argue and just, oh, okay, well, let me take care of that, the quick fix. So if you have that technical skill, then it makes it a lot easier.
Okay. Good. What else?
Communication.
Communication.
Well, that's needed in every single aspect in a professional field. But it's very important that as a tester in any level or position, you're able to say or transmit somehow what's going on with whatever piece you're testing, be it technical or be it hardware, software, doesn't matter. You need to be able to say where did you find the error, what is it about, what impacts it has. You need to have your mind somehow set a format that works in a way people can understand what you're saying.
Okay. Communication. That's good.
I think some coding skill would be ideal, just so that you can understand what the product is being written in, at least be able to read what the developers are writing.
Or to be able to automate in some way whatever the developers are building.
Automation skills.
Yes.
At the very least, you have to be, you have to have a shared skill with developers. That is, take a problem and then break it down to a stepwise solution. You have to have that in order to test components and also kind of relate to the developer in terms of how they solve it and where it might be.
Some logic.
Yeah.
Logic.
I think you have to have a sense of imagination too, because you've got to sometimes try to figure out, how might a customer use this, what, sometimes I've done tests that there's no way a customer will do what I did, but I crashed the main server. So even though it wasn't a valid test, nothing I should do to crash the server, So sometimes you have to think outside of the box in order to try to figure out how to test this. What might they forgot to look at, and
That analytical side, logical side, and the creative side, right? Yeah.
One of the magical things that can happen as a tester is you start to know the product as a whole better than a lot of the people that have been working on the individual parts. As you've gotten more and more familiar with it, you're like, it's doing that again. I know what that is. So that sort of experience and the ability to get into it with software.
Very good.
The SQL skills are really handy.
SQL skills. Oh, wow. Okay, you know, it's a certain type of person to enjoy that. I'm not one of them.
SQL skills are irrelevant now. We're all on NoSQL, right?
We're all in NoSQL. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Here's some things that I put down. Communication. Right? Can I express my ideas? Can I do it in a timely way? Can I do it often? Collaboration. Collaboration is a bigger picture. Collaboration includes things like trust and all those other things. Right? Can I spend time with people? Can I work with them? Systems thinking. Anybody know what I'm saying when I say systems thinking? The big picture? Hey, go Google systems thinking somewhere. Talk about Denning and I had his name and then I didn't say it and now it's gone. There's a bunch of really good people where you're looking at the whole system. Yes, you have to test this component, but how does this component affect the whole system? Right? I would expect everybody on the team to have that sort of thought. I would expect everybody above them certainly to have that thought, quality managers, whatever. But sometimes they don't. And a tester is a great person and a good place to be to apply systems thinking to your product. And then details. I don't think I've ever met a good tester that was not detail oriented. That's a good thing when it comes to testing. Corner cases, this was already brought up. Creative things to do, whatever. Yes. Don't always go down the happy path. The developer already did that for you.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Hopefully. They have a definition of done that says you will at least test the happy path. Okay, on your card, skills. What one or two skills do you apply or do you want to apply better? What do you bring to your team and your company as an agile tester? What does your developers on your team expect you to have?
also if they write perfect code first time, they don't need to.
Yeah. We can be pretty conceited a lot, can't we? New developers. Sometimes I think that's good though, because we wouldn't do anything if we didn't think we could succeed, right? All right, write those down. I don't see too many pens running.
I've had developers push bugs just to see if the engineer would find it. They do the sneaky, plant it in there, it's nothing critical, but they're curious to see if the engineer is that good. And that's, huh? I know. They weren't very, yeah. They were a nightmare for engineers.
Okay? Time. Time. Whoa, big, huge, giant word. I'm talking about when is it that you apply testing? How soon